So we're back, not quite in your Josh's kitchen for these interviews, but we're back on Zoom interviewing a new player, and also we've got Hayden with us as well. Hayden, how's it going?
Very well, thanks, Jay. And yourself?
Yeah, I mean, lockdown's easing. Football is almost coming back. You can almost smell it, can't you? So we're getting there. Hayden, in a little bit, we'll chat to you about some of the players that Kay's are going to be keeping for next season, but I believe we've got another new signing to talk about tonight. Why don't you introduce him to us?
Yeah, we have. This is a player that I really like. If Kingstonian want to be considered as a top club, then they have to attract top players. Hopefully, we're showing everybody we're trying to do that with the signings that have already been announced. But this guy is someone that I think is right out of the top drawer. So I'd like to introduce the Kingstonian fans to Jason Banton.
Jason, welcome to Kingstonian.
Thank you, appreciate it. Happy to be on board.
Obviously, the first thing to talk about is that you scored against us last season. So that's obviously an instant demerit in our eyes. But you played against us last season. After seeing you guys when you were at Cray last season, you beat us 5-1. In what way does that make Kingstonian in any way attractive to want to move to this summer?
Just the style of play. Like, even though it was 5-1, I don't think it was a 5-1 game. That was one of the things that I did realize and pick up on. And just the fact that I spoke to Hayden previously, and I know quite a few of the players and some of the new signings, so it just made an easy transition for me.
So who are the kind of current squad and new signings you already know?
I know Fabio, Gus, I know Jake Hutchinson, I know Reese, that's just been announced. I know Nyron, that's been announced. So yeah, I know quite a few of the lads.
Nice. And tell us about you as a player. What can we expect?
Just creativity, scoring goals, assists, just making things happen out of nothing, really. So yeah, stuff like that.
And where kind of along a front line do you most like lining up?
Just behind a striker or just off the left. I'm right-footed, but I can go either down the line or come inside. I'm just happy to play anywhere, really.
And it doesn't take long looking online to see, you've played for some big clubs. You've kind of been around both as a youngster, but also, some decent clubs in recent years as well. What have been some of the highlights of your career so far, apart from joining Kingstonian, obviously?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to have made my debut for Palace, played in the FA Cup third round for Palace. Part of the squad that won promotion into the Premier League with Palace, even though I didn't make much appearances. Played League One for MK Dons, played in League Two for for Plymouth, helped them stay up. Along the way, winning Player of the Month was one of my highlights as well. Yeah.
And in all that time, who's the best player you've played with?
Best player I've played with? Perhaps Wilfred Zaha, I'd probably say most talented.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hayden, what should we expect from Jason? Why have you brought him in?
I just felt that Jason fitted the model perfectly. I'm also very wary of in Kingstonian. Kingstonian is a big club, and Kingstonian has aspirations to get back to where the club used to be. That's something that we spoke about since day one. And in order to achieve that, I think we need to attract players that not only have the ability to take us where we need to be, but have the personality and the charisma to make Kingstonian successful. And I see that in Jason. I see a really charismatic guy who's brilliant with the ball at his feet, can turn 0-0s into 1-0s, can get us out of jail when we need to with a moment of magic. Decision making on the ball is very good, but he's very creative at the same time. So I think he has the footballing attributes and the characteristics to really take us on.
We'll talk about some of the players that we've kept later on, but 3 out of the 4 signings that we've announced now are, you're talking about Jason, you're talking about Reese, a kind of another wide man. who also scored against us last season. Nyron, who has previously lined up out wide and centrally. What does this tell us about the way you see K's lining up going forward next season?
Yeah, and I'll be open. There's a little bit of red tape to get through, and probably we won't be able to get through the red tape for another month, but there'll also be another centre forward to join Kingstonian as well. And what does that tell us? That tells us that I want the team to be really expansive. I want the team to be really attacking. And at times I watch Kingstonian and we have all of the ball. And I think technically we are the best side on the pitch, dare I say, but it's only 1-0. And in bringing in the likes of Jay and Reese and Nyron, they have the experience, they have the quality to turn what I would like to think would be superior performances into results. So instead of, what's their job? Their job's really easy. Their job is to make sure that I've got fingernails at the end of the game. So instead of being the best team on the pitch and it's 1-0 with 10 minutes to go and we're having to defend ridiculously high balls coming into the box, with 20 minutes to go, these guys have got the quality to have won the game for us, and we've won 3-0. My criticism of Kingstonian in the year that we got to the second round of the FA Cup, last 32 of the trophy when it was null and voided, is the same as my criticism of the team last year. There wasn't enough goals. And my dynamic, what I'm trying to build for Kingstonian, is that if you stop the number 9, whether that's a new signing, whether that's Elliot, Nyron will win the game. If Nyron doesn't win the game, Jason wins the game. If Jason doesn't win the game, Reese will win the game. If Reese doesn't win the game, Gus comes through and wins the game. We're dangerous from set pieces. I think we have the physical attributes and the technical attributes to do very well. What I would certainly be disappointed with is if I didn't see the team score a lot of goals this season.
You mentioned Elliot there. He wasn't in the initial kind of announcement at the weekend about players staying, but you can confirm now that Elliot Buchanan is going to be with us next season as well.
Yes, definitely. Elliot, there was no reason for that other than some player discussions take time. Some are very quick. Elliot's was a little bit more elongated for one or two reasons. I have to say it certainly wasn't financial. It wasn't the fact that he was haggling for more money. We just needed to talk over my expectations of him, his expectations of where he sits in the dynamic of the new squad. And those conversations just took a little bit longer. And to be open, Elliot has turned down half a dozen clubs to stay at Kingstonian. And so I think, again, it's an important acquisition. And I think if you look at the Cray forward line, to revert back to that with Jason and with Reese, for example, is that they at times they want a big forward to hit. They want a big forward where they might deliver the ball into the box. They want a big forward where Jason will cut in from the left-hand side and he wants to lend the ball to the centre forward. So Elliot will come into his own in that way. And that's something in pre-season that we'll work really hard in building relationships with the forwards.
Jason, when you hear Hayden talk about the way he wants to line up next season, does that excite you?
Yeah, most definitely. Me and Hayden, we've had long, lengthy discussions about how to bring the best out of myself. And I just felt that someone like Elliot was definitely going to be a big part of that. Because like he said just now, I'm a player, Reese is a player, we like to play kind of inverted, or if I'm playing off the striker, and just like sometimes you just need that front man that you can just lend it into and know you're going to get it back, which is hard to find at this level. But I know I've watched Elliot quite a few times and played against him, and someone that I'm really going to look forward to playing with.
Great. Hayden, obviously a big chunk of the squad are staying, but there's a few faces that are leaving K's as well. Perhaps the most notable being Tommy Kavanagh. And I know you've told me how difficult a decision that was.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only for me, as I said quite openly, I don't think it's a case of we're keeping players, we're releasing players. That's not the way that I work, and the conversations have not been like that. They certainly wasn't with Tom. Tom and I spoke at length, and when you speak to Tom Kavanagh, you have to realise that you're speaking to a great servant of this club, not only with me, and not only the tremendous service that he's given me in 2 clubs now, but in Kingstonian with Alan Dowson and in Kingstonian with Tommy Williams. And so when you speak to Tom, you have to speak to him with enormous respect for what he's achieved for the club. The one thing with him you could never doubt is that when he puts a Kingstonian shirt on, he will give everything in those 90 minutes of football. So when you speak to players like that, it's important to be honest with them. It's important to be open with them. And I spoke to Tom openly about where I saw his position in the squad next season, how I wanted to change the dynamic of the team. And then I allowed him to go away and make a decision. And we'd had 1 or 2 conversations after that. And as a result of our conversations, Tom decided that he wanted, at 31, more of a guarantee of playing that I could offer him. And he felt at 31 that, not that he's above fighting for a place in the team. We know Tom's not like that. But he wanted to be a mainstay and an integral part of the team in a way that probably we wasn't able to offer him. And because of that, he's decided to look elsewhere, and he certainly does that with our thanks and our best wishes.
There's a bit of a rejig. We've talked about Jason, Nyron, Reese, and you talked about another centre forward coming in. We always knew changes were going to have to be made at that end of the pitch with Corey going to Wimbledon, but it's Cadell Daniel and Andre Coker who won't be with us next season a little bit as well. You talked that one of our problems, I guess, was turning dominance into goals last season. Does that explain those changes?
And there's Tom Richards as well, obviously, to put into the mix. I think every situation is different, and I think every situation should be treated differently. What I would say is Andre, Tom, and Cadell are all very good players. And I have absolutely no doubt wherever they go next season, they're going to do very well. Again, there was conversations with the players, open conversations and 2-way conversations of how I saw it, the way that they saw it. And as a result, in Cadell's circumstances, for example, having spoken to me, he decided to accept an offer from Hampton. That's absolutely fine. There are other circumstances with Andre, other circumstances with Tom, with his moving, etc., etc. But, I think that we should thank all of the players that were with us last season and sadly aren't now. I'd like to keep everybody, but as I've mentioned before, the club have been hugely supportive with the playing budget, in as much as it's the same as last season. However, because it's the same as last season, you can't keep everybody. If we want to sign Reese, if we want to sign Nyron, if we want to sign Jay, as an example, players have to go to finance those deals. So there were some tough decisions for me to make, tough decisions for the players to make. But, when the last 2 seasons have been either null and voided or curtailed, I don't feel comfortable in looking people in the eye and really stressing that they should sign for Kingstonian if I can't give them some sort of firm guarantee of game time. And in some cases, that's been the case with the players that have left us.
And what's very important to remember is, for the history books, that Cadell Daniel was still a Kingstonian player when he scored in the World Cup. And no matter what else, they can't take World Cup scorer playing for Kingstonian away from us. We talked about, some of the other signings that have come in. I know there were a couple more to be announced as well. We've talked about Tom leaving his 3rd spell at Kingstonian. but we do have a player joining his 4th spell at Kingstonian in Aaron Lamont. What inspired you to bring Aaron back?
Well, I liked Aaron. Aaron is, I suppose you could flippantly describe him as the new Tom Kavanagh, in so much as he's managed to beat Tom. Tom's had 3 spells. Aaron's now moving into his 4th. A former professional at Queen's Park Rangers, there's no question that Aaron technically has the attributes to do very well. There's absolutely no doubt of that. When he come back initially and played for me, I didn't think that he was in the best physical condition to command a position in the team. But this guy deserves amazing credit. We spoke in the summer. We've met him on Saturday mornings, and the guy is in amazing physical condition. He's probably in the best physical condition he's been since he was a professional footballer now. And a fit Aaron Lamont will complement any squad and any team in this division. We know again he has the personality to do well, he's got the temperament to do well, and he has the ability to do well. So a really fit, full-firing Aaron Lamont, I think, is a serious acquisition for this club.
Jason, it feels like there's a lot to look forward to next season. What's the aim for you?
For me, promotion. That's all I expect. That's all I want. With the team that's already there and the signings coming in, I don't expect anything less. To be at least in the playoff positions, but definitely promotion has to be the one.
Hayden, you said that was always the plan for year 2. Obviously, year 2 didn't happen, but presume is it promotion or bust this season? No pressure, obviously.
Well, that did sound quite a lot of pressure the way you actually mentioned that, to be fair.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So I will respond in a way that you would expect me to, and say that in August I'll enter my 3rd season with Kingstonian. But in terms of league games played, I don't think I've completed 1 season yet.
Here we go. Excuses in before the season's even started.
Absolutely, got to get the excuses in. No, look. Speaking honestly, I have very high hopes. I'm really excited. I think that we've used the time wisely during lockdown in not only trying to improve the playing staff, but trying to improve the management team as well, with the performance analysts, new medical team, etc., etc. So we really have tried to improve. I've great faith in the lads that have come in. I think that they've got every chance to take us to the next level. In my opinion, last season's squad would have made the playoffs. You know, we finished in 4th. We were improving and improving. And without sounding in any which way arrogant, after a terrible first week, no other team picked up more league points than Kingstonian in our league. And the team, and notably the players, deserve great credit for that. So there's a really strong base to work. I'm hopeful that the new players will take us on again, and I'm hopeful that the new players will bring trophies to the club. I can't sit here and say that they will, but I can sit here and say we're going to try. I think that we'll be better. I think that we will improve. And I think, honestly, we needed to, because I think that Step 3 football, Isthmian Premier Division football next season, is going to be stronger than ever. When I look at the acquisitions that are being made around us, I think that the division as a whole will be 25% stronger than what it was last season, collectively. And we've tried to react to that by improving the squad accordingly.
Great. Well, there's plenty to look forward to. Pre-season on its way. Jason, Hayden, thank you for your time. We will see you soon.